Hey gents, for today's video, we're going to be talking about the truth about single women in their 50s ready to settle down with any man. Why would a man want to settle down with a woman who is about to reach the end of her fertility window? What does she actually offer and bring to the table? If you have kids with her, they might have Down syndrome or autism. I'm not trying to be rude, but there's evidence that autism risk increases with a mother's age. When a woman is older and ready to settle down, she may already have children from a previous marriage. She also has emotional baggage from all the guys named Mario who were intimate with her. Chances are she is overweight, and even if she isn't, she has health issues from eating Snickers bars while wearing nothing but her underwear. Despite her career success, she will likely be looking for a man who earns more than she does, and who is younger and better looking than she is. Isn't it great that so many Western women are ready to settle down? Unfortunately, many men over the age of 40 are not so lucky. Somewhere around 12 to 15% of them manage to get married after that point. But is it worth it? You might fall in love if you're not jaded, but from a practical standpoint, it's a risky proposition. A man shacking up with a middle-aged woman is risking his pension and his retirement. He'll probably be replaced by nagging and ridicule. Even his dog will cover its ears to make the nagging stop. Wouldn't it be great if animals could talk? They would probably red pill more men than anything has. I also think it's unfair how society insults men who don't want to settle down and calls them a man-child. A man with Peter Pan syndrome who refuses to grow up is usually shamed and made to feel inferior. But a woman with Peter Pan syndrome is celebrated for being strong and independent. Doesn't anyone else out there see anything wrong with this double standard? Why do we have this double standard where men are degraded for the same sorts of behavior that women are applauded for? Society doesn't shame women for choosing not to have children or to have them, nor does it shame them for not settling down. In fact, single mothers are gaining more weight than a sumo wrestler on steroids. So what are we allowed to shame women with these days? Absolutely nothing, because they're perfect creatures that can do no wrong. If we shame them, we're the ones who get shamed. But instead, weight shaming them is not considered hate speech just yet. I'm sure it will be at some point because we have to protect women's feelings at all costs. Their immediate comfort and safety are far more important than anything else, even if they hurt them well into the future. In many Asian countries, women in their mid to late 20s are shamed for not getting married and having children, and they still have some of the lowest birth rates in the world. This shows that either most women there don't want children at all, or the shaming language is ineffective against them. I think that the women who do have kids do it usually because they want a man, or they're afraid of being shamed. But without those things, I think the birth rate would be much lower. We're always hearing about how the birth rates are crashing in Japan, but things are even worse in South Korea, where the birth rate is only 1.17 children per couple. Of course, that's also due in part to the rise of feminism in that country. And trust me, those Korean women don't need any help looking like they're in their middle age. Some of them are barely in their 20s. It's more like a new generation of Korean women challenging traditional female hygiene standards because they're obsessed with looking better than men. Something tells me that those are the last type of women you want to settle down with. But older women that missed the boat and are now trying to land a Postwall chat, their odds go down by the day. Hey ladies, I'm sorry that the world has forgotten about you, but I just don't want to remember you. I think it's important for women to know that only 10 to 15% of men after the age of 40 will ever get married. That's just slightly more than 1 in 10 of that 10%. Based on your lofty standards, do you really think most of them are desirable? I think women need to understand that they need to get their house in order in their 20s. That's when they need to find a good life partner. If they don't, then usually they float around from guy to guy and eventually end up with a cat. I watched a video recently where Joe Rogan was talking about how it was sad for a 70-year-old man to find himself unmarried and looking in the mirror, thinking, is that all there is to life? But I think a lot of guys look at life in the wrong way. I know that I certainly do as well. We look at it as a destination instead of a journey. And that's why many of us can be shamed into taking in one of those older ladies because we're worried about dying alone. I've learned a lot about chronic pain over the last few years. When you're in so much pain that you can barely move, you don't want someone there next to you. Your brain is most likely distracted by them, and you don't have the energy to focus on finding better ways to treat your pain. You want your privacy and space. It's like in that film Donnie Darko, where he talks about a dog going under the house so it can die because it wants to be alone. It's only when a man is healthy and has a sound mind and body that he actually thinks about how sad it would be to die alone. I have never had a vacation specifically for my pain, except very rarely. When I do, I go through terrible bouts of anxiety, expecting the pain to return at any moment. My work allows me to focus my mind away from my pain enough every day, and I feel like I actually have something to accomplish, and therefore, I have a reason to make my suffering worth it. I guess in a way, a single spinster who can't find a 40-year-old husband is in pain as well. It's probably just the fear of living and dying alone, and not being able to look after herself financially and physically into old age. What she might be signaling is that she's looking for a caretaker to do those things for her, so she doesn't have to live in fear anymore. I've seen how older married guys typically live, and it's not a pretty sight. They just don't know it in front of the computer or television, while getting mad that that's what those older women looking to settle down are looking for. A man who is truly ready to settle down knows that what she really means is I'm running out of beta orbiters to provide emotional tampons, and I want to secure access to a man with a wallet for my old age. My advice to men is, don't be that man and don't be that wallet. Instead, invest in pharmaceutical companies that sell women antidepressants, as well as cat food companies because she needs those things to keep herself fed and happy in her lowly golden days. She's probably already on a chemical cocktail to keep the single lady shakes at bay. But when she says she's ready to settle down, she really means she's looking for emotional and physical security, and she's willing to consider options you never would have thought of before. So you need to release the decoy flowers and get out of there before she snickers you in, or worse, waste your time talking to you and leading you on. That's precious time that you won't get back, so don't waste it on her. That's all for today, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Cheers.